Factfulness by Hans Rosling. Nowadays, a lot of media focus on attracting readers, and that's why these media outlets provide followers with very simple and drama-filled information instead of providing extensive and detailed information. As a result, many people have an unrealistic negative view of what's going on in the world. There's a widespread belief that the world is going from bad to worse in various fields, including the economic, political, environmental, and even educational fields. If you asked a questionnaire about the level of poverty in the world over the past 20 years and the options were, the level of poverty was doubled, stayed at the same level, dropped by half of what it was. Many people will choose the wrong answer, even though the correct answer is that it has been halved. This survey was conducted in the United States, and the result was that only 5% of the participants expected the correct choice. The author attributes this phenomena to what he called misconceptions that arise as a result of media content and also as a result of some natural instincts in humans. One of the most important negative concepts that are prevalent in the Western society is the difference between East and West, as many believe that most Eastern countries are developing countries that can't live a civilized life like the one in the West. This is despite the emergence and supremacy of many developing countries during the last century, such as Japan, China, and South Korea. But to remember, the misconceptions that are common between humans are the result of many instinctive and external factors, and they prevent us from seeing and understanding the world accurately. In the year 1800, 85% of the world's population was living below the poverty line. Today, that percentage has decreased to just 9%. We may not hear about these positive numbers in many global media because they usually focus on reporting natural disasters, crimes, or any economic and political disasters that occur in the world. One of the most important factors in the spread of negative nature and sense around the world is that the media has become today accessible to everyone, as it's easy for you to access it through your phone, computer, or TV screen. Therefore, people around the world are exposed to hearing bad news 24 hours a day. This overexposure gives humans the impression that things have gotten much worse than the past years. In addition, we must not lose sight of our negative instinct as well, which leads us to quickly believe that the world is getting worse. When you watch the news and hear about the disasters due to floods or earthquakes and the number of their victims, remember that there are many survivors that the media doesn't mention their numbers. And due to the progress in the building materials, even low-income communities became safer and more disaster-resistant than before. In fact, the death rate due to natural disasters today is only 25% of what it was 100 years ago. But to remember, the media and our negative instincts play an important role in strengthening our understanding of the positive aspects of life. You may hear in a lot of current reports that the world's population will increase steadily in the future until it reaches limits that can't be controlled or managed. This comes as a result of what's called the straight line instinct. That turns out if you see a straight line, then your brain is more likely to tell you that this straight line will keep rising in the future. However, there are very few charts that keep rising continuously. We think of the same thing about population. Our huge perceptions are that the world's population will continue to increase and rise, when the truth is that the population tends to reach its peak. According to estimates by the United Nations in the study of population growth, the world population will reach consistent levels between 2060 and 2100. There are several reasons for this consistency, including that, with lower levels of poverty, people tend to reduce the number of children they have. Hundreds of years ago, mothers gave birth to about 6 children on average due to the high rate of fetal death, and the need to have the largest number of children in order to help in agriculture or work in factories. This is no longer the case today. Thanks to education, birth control, and low levels of poverty, the average birth rate is 2.5 children per woman. The innate fear of the population growth leads us to overestimate the risks that this instinct may create for us. For example, our fear of violence. We're exposed to more news reports on violence than ever before. So, we believe that the chance of our vulnerability to violent events is increasing, but the real numbers show that the crime levels are actually decreasing. In the United States, 14.5 million crimes were reported in 1990 compared to 2016 when that number decreased to 9.5 million. Be to remember, the innate fear of the future and the straight line instinct are human instincts that also contribute to our misunderstanding of the world. One of the best ways to control our many bad instincts is to collect the right data and put it in the proper context. If you read that 4 million children have died in the past year, the enormity of that number may lead you to believe that we're living in difficult times. However, if you look at the number of children who died in 1950 and you see that their numbers was 14.4 million, you get a more accurate understanding of the progress that we made in healthcare. Also, one of the best ways to avoid negative generalizations is to travel and see other cultures directly. It's a great way to see various perspectives, and this is very important because taking limited perspectives is a huge barrier to achieving an accurate worldview. For example, if you had visited South Korea in the 1970s, you would have witnessed a country rapidly transforming from a low-income country to a middle-income country, despite the difficult circumstances surrounding it. Actually, the world is very complex, and the secret is to understand its complexity by looking at the largest possible number of perspectives. This is also the reason why many people are short-sighted when they limit their view on a single individual or even one group as the source of the problem. Be to remember, in order to understand the world more accurately, you must collect correct information and data and come into contact with different human cultures. Thanks for watching. Please follow our social media accounts. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel.